All right. Hello. This is Renee Manfrey and a good friend of mine, Manny Colomb. And tonight we're going to be talking about reboot and our addiction recovery. Manny and I started a conversation and we started this process approximately, I think it's a little bit over 90 days. We're in May right now of 2025. So I think we really started this. Was this right in December or January or February of this year? Or what was that, Manny?
Renee, I think it was in January, maybe towards the end of January. We have a video from that, right? Because it was my birthday. I celebrated my birthday, and then it was a couple of days thereafter that we shot that first video. So it's like January, end of January. By the way, happy Mother's Day to you, Renee.
Happy Mother's Day to you too. So today is Mother's Day. Manny and we talked earlier today, and I had a lot of things going on. I had I'm a great uncle, and so we had a christening today on Mother's Day, and so it was kind of a full day. So we've been wanting to do this podcast, and I'm going to link the first podcast that we did that when Manny was in the rehab center. And when we had started this process, and it's been an incredible journey over the last few months. We have so much going on a daily basis. We converse on a daily basis. We're doing business together with a lot of things. So, Manny, just kind of share with me, where you are right now with your life, with Reboot, with everything, and just kind of share your journey.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to say that. Oh gosh, what did I do with it? I got my 4-month sobriety coin last night.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Second go around, my little 12-step group.
I need to create a clapper. Look.
The laugh track in the audience is outside warming up. They'll be in here in just a minute. The girls are getting dressed. And that was exciting. Second go around. I think this one's more special than the first one. It just means a lot more to me this time. And I had some great 1-year coins and 2-year coins. You get an 18-month coin. I actually had a whole rack up in my office where I used to live, and used to look at them a lot. My mentality on that is more now that I'm not a day counter anymore, Renee. The more people I talk to that are in sobriety, that are in or out of 12-step programs, you really kind of embrace the day, right? So I'm sober since woke up at 6 o'clock this morning and then went back to sleep and woke up at 10:30 because my boss doing my day job drives me crazy and gives me a lot to do. And so I get a little fatigued. And then, I'm producing this content as well. So that's a joke at Renee, guys. How's it going? It's going really good. I'm settling in and I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'm seeing things much clearer now. I was really scared when we shot that first video. I really didn't kind of know what was going on, where it was going to be. But as you well know, we embraced a thought there that we would do this, right? When I got out.
Yeah.
You brought up the idea and we're like, hey, kind of let's do that. And, we drew out this little plan, which we shared the other day on our little road trip we took together. I pulled that up and dusted it off. I think that was the 22nd or so of January or so. Beginning. It's dated. It's in my little journal book. Mm-hmm. It was really kind of interesting to go back and look at that, Renee, because although we're arriving at the same places, we've kind of gone around the block many different times to try to get to where we are currently today, which is an exciting moment. Reboot has been something really interesting. Yeah, I've got technically 5 podcasts in the can right now. I got one that I just did the other day. So let's back up. I'm so sorry, because that's how my head works, right? We set out on Reboot, and Reboot was initially to do a couple things, but my first core mission coming out of rehab in Reboot was to film what I call Day 29, which seems so long ago now, right?
And that was a goodbye letter, correct?
No, the goodbye letter was part of it as well. And we can touch on that in a minute. Day 29 was where I realized sitting in there and talking to a lot of the guys and ladies that were in there with me in inpatient that everybody wanted to get out, couldn't wait to get out because it's such a structured and environment and you're cut off from the world. You don't have your phone. You and I talk daily, but we would talk from a landline that I would get use of, right? So everybody wants to get out, and it's a day count. Day 28 is a scary day because day 28 is your last day. And like most inpatient facilities, there's sort of a go stale time, right? So 11 o'clock, you're out the door. Can't really enforce that, but that kind of hanging over your head. Mm-hmm. So I just, man, in revisiting all that, I really spent a lot of time in the last week and a half or 2 weeks, really kind of planning what my first day out was going to look like and had it all scheduled out. And so that day wasn't scary because it was scary because I was getting out and I was getting used to my car. I hadn't driven in a long time and my car had a lot of stuff in it from my personal belongings. So, man, yeah, it's kind of a weird thing, right?
Right.
And I was more worried about day 29, which is your first real day out where you're waking up somewhere different and you're not getting up at 6 and going to breakfast and going to your courses and your classes and then back to lunch. And as much as you don't like that regime because of your brain malady and your disease and your addiction, fights totally counter to that.
Right.
Because, our disease is free will run riot. We don't want anybody telling us what to do. We are our biggest, we live on our biggest stage. We are our biggest star and we are our own biggest fan. Right. So I figured what I would do because of the guys I met in there, specifically a couple of young guys, which I've covered on several podcasts. I've spoken about this, is I would journal my first 28 days out of a 28-day program. So day 29 is what I called it. And I tried to, I haven't looked at those things in a long time. I need to revisit them. I tried to do every day a video journal and upload it to this YouTube world that you taught me about, and then shared it out with people via a YouTube link on a text thread, right? And the longer I did it, the more comfortable I became at it, and the more honest I became because those people knew me for 28 days and not, look, the first day in inpatient rehab for anyone is not your best day. Right. So they see you in a very raw, injured, and vulnerable state, and very defensive, and very angry, and yada yada. Right. So they put up a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's interesting to think about how, as I went through that process, I simply dropped the rock, as they say, got honest, and felt very comfortable with myself and with whoever was watching it, to just really talk about the truth about what was going on with me. And that led into other things, right? But it freed me up to talk. So day 29 was the first program. Yeah, keep going. I'm sorry.
So day 20. So we started the when you were in rehab. We had this conversation. You were writing notes every day, and it really started where, again, I want to share back in this journey that I have been starting to do LinkedIn over about a year ago, and I started getting Ed on with LinkedIn with me. And at that time when he was going through this rehab, I remember we started having this conversation. You said that you really see that this could be something that really you can come out of this and start really helping people, because being inside of these locations, you started seeing the challenges that people are having, not really getting help and support in different areas. And that's where you share with me about the goodbye letter. And you shared this with a few other doctors. And that's where this all kind of started. So it's really been an incredible journey over the last almost 4 months now that has happened with Ed. Has started his YouTube channel. Again, He never did this before. Every day he's doing videos. He's gotten the confidence to where not only is he doing the videos, he's doing his own content. He's doing his own editing, everything, right? So it's really been a really cool journey. But then at the same time, now we've gotten individuals, we've got subscribers, we're getting a good friend of ours, Scott Picard. So many people are coming out of the woodworks on a daily basis that are opening up because of what Ed is doing. So that's what I'm finding with what you're doing is you're opening up with people and giving them the courage, the confidence to say, well, man, wow, what he's doing is awesome. And they're opening up to him. So that's really what I've been seeing. And now we're at a stage to where we're finally realizing, okay, we have a different programs and process. If you want to learn more about what we're doing with Reboot, I will have wherever this video is on whatever channels we're going to have different links to where you can join and subscribe to our channels, get more involved into everything we're doing and the programs that we're designing out that is providing the support in the access in the different systems that we're going to be sharing how it is done for Ed and how it can be done for anybody else that wants to plug into the system. Am I correct on where we are right now, right, with that, Manny?
Yes. Yeah, it's a Manny Ed battle, Renee. No worries. I've been fighting that for a while. Yeah.
It's Manny Ed Manny. So I'm kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
I have
Manny Ed battle. So that's funny because I married a girl who is the mother of my children, and she only knew me as Ed. And because I met her in my professional environment, right? Okay. But because, my friends that I marched in drum corps with, and I went to high school and college and grammar school with, my family, they all know me as Manny. So it was always funny when we got in a room because I could pedigree you from what part of my life I knew you from based upon what you called me, right? So the Manny Ed battle has been going on my whole entire life, right? And I appreciate
Manny. No, that's Manny.
Yeah, you try a lot, right? And it's funny to hear Renee in conversations, depending on what group we're around, because he's stumbling around what he's going to address me as. So I think the other day we were in a network meeting, and he addressed me as my Ed. He was like, "Hey, here's my Ed. I brought him in a bag, and y'all could talk to him too, but not too much."
That's funny.
That's funny, man. That was a funny moment, but I didn't let you off the hook on that one. Yeah. So where are we heading with this, right? Look, I got a lot of people that look at those.
Whatever we want on our show. It's our show, right? So we can do whatever we want on.
Yeah, we talk about whatever. And this is what we've been trying to get to exactly. It's just to have this open conversation. I am pleased with the amount of people that have embraced this sort of communication and this platform and have picked it up on their own. And I see them, and these are folks I know personally, and I know through my rehab and addiction journey, right? I'm watching them pick it up and start to produce their own content and then, just kind of get out there, get brave and start talking, right? Along with that, of course, you're trying to figure out, well, where are we heading with this? And I really don't know because there's so many directions that we're going. I do a lot of written content. I do a lot of drop on spot videos. I post up a lot up on Facebook, and that goes to Instagram. And it's all about just different, sorts of media and different sorts of communication types of reaching different people, right?
Right.
My goal right now with this is really about creating sort of a workbook where people can go and have some sort of reflection, affirmation, and then also have maybe a diet aspect to it, Renee, and then a skill set to it as well. Because uh, clearly what comes out of this is that you're trying to find your way through this path. You don't have anywhere to hide anymore. You can't drink, you can't use, you're kind of a raw nerve. You're going through all this detoxing aspects inside your head. So, your body chemistry is all over the board, and you're just trying to figure it out.
Right.
And it's difficult sometimes to talk to people. In 12 step, there's a lot of community in there, and so you have that safe zone to go sit in once a week, or how many times you choose to go, depending on what sort of community group you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Be it a therapist or like sort of an NA or AA or Al-Anon or any of those sorts of settings, right? But what you find is, and it's mentioned to me a couple of times by different folk, is that sometimes when you leave there, you kind of detach from the group, and the group doesn't come with you. So, it's like, so what's the next thing you're going to do that next moment when you're on your own, or when you're sitting quiet and just thinking? I think what I'm trying to achieve is the ability to say, okay, this is your toolbox, and these are the things. Let's go eat a good diet so that you start balancing your body chemistry, and you're off the sugars, and you're off all the different sort of bad food that is just continuing to make you feel this way, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to physically going to get out because you feel better. Physically get out, and you can go. As you know, I'm a big time walker. That's my exercise, and you're going to feel better. You'll be able to go out and go do things at exercise level. You're going to start thinking better, so that you can start peeling back things that your traumas, and some of the things that you never wanted to think about or admit before. Your brain's going to get a lot clearer, and these are things that are just going to lead, man, not just to sobriety, right? But just to living your best life.
Right.
A lot of people that aren't sober, Renee, that live great lives, right? As you know, I spend a lot of Sundays and Saturdays with my friend Rick, right? I touch in and spent this afternoon with him, and and so Rick drinks beer, he drinks his wine, but he's in touch with his life. And he understands that he's trying to get to some end goal of just kind of constantly trying to become a better person. Maybe this is just as good as it gets. But so it's not just about being sober. It's about embracing all the other things that life has to offer. The difference now being is that you're having to deal with them in the real. Mm-hmm. It causes a lot of problems for a lot of people. And that's when you relapse. So unless you have built some sort of framework of friends that are in sobriety, in your 12-step program, friends like yourself, work activities, just these different things to allow yourself to say, you know what? I mean, I'm not who I used to be. That's part of my story. I'm a different person now, and I'm just going to start building on this. But you got to have a firm foundation to go forward. And so reboot is my goal. So our goal with reboot is to touch all that, right? And to talk about all that. Like, what do you want to talk about today? Ducks, cool. Let's talk about ducks.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
So let me kind of chime in on there. So I think we talked about this today. So for me, I lost my brother a couple of years ago, and it's been about 2 years now. And he was 61. Addiction was basically alcohol, depression. I had some conversations today because the child that we, my great uncle. I'm a great uncle, so I guess it's my great. I'm a wooden nephew, I guess. And so that was my two nieces who I'm basically responsible that I'm kind of trying to step in his place, right?
Yeah.
As much as I possibly can to just be there for them, let them know that, hey, if you ever need anything, questions or help, whatever, call me. That's a tough space. I had some conversations with some relatives about what Michael was going through at the time, some conversations that I did not know about that they had. And we were talking about what he was he would call him up and sometimes looking at that phone, right? Here it goes again, right? And he was always talking about negative, talking about politics, talking about past, talking about stuff that really just is just stuff. And I look back at those conversations and I look at these conversations on a daily basis. It's like we're living our life. And you and I had this conversation, like, what are we living for? What are we trying to chase? What are we chasing, right? So we listened to that video from Matthew McConaughey that it was a great video, and I'm looking forward to sharing that video again because I think that his speech was really spot on. It's like you're living your life to for your family, you're living your life for your best self, and then at the same time you're chasing your better self. You're chasing your better self every day. So to get complacent in life is where I find that a lot of people fall into a dark place, mainly because they've stopped chasing something to better themselves. And when you do that, I find that all of a sudden you're going into areas or around people that might bring you down different paths that you just fall into because you don't have your own path or you don't have your own purpose or mission or passion, right? And that's where I'm seeing with our conversation every day. Ed and I talk, and I look at what we have done together. Ed's working with my company, Southern Cutters. He's helping me out with some other different projects we're working on. We deal with different parts of my consulting. We go back and forth. So Ed has really been a support, not only from a friendship, but also a partnership throughout the years. And we have these conversations on a daily basis. And I'm hoping that these conversations and connection is part of the reason that has kept you on your path. But I want to ask you, I mean, has that been part of the solution to your problem? Because you do have a peer-to-peer relationship with myself and plus now a few others. Is that part of what you're finding, that some people, they do get off the grid because they don't have this peer-to-peer relationship? In your opinion?
Yeah. Big question. That's a big question. So let's unpack it a little bit. People that suffer from mental illness and addiction issues, they have a tendency to isolate. And the isolation is more about you don't know what to say. You don't know how to say it. And you've said it so many times before that you just don't want to say it again. Because you're tired and you're worn out of even listening to your own self. And I think when you stop buying your own bullshit can be good and bad. Because if your inner self gets sick and tired of listening to your voice, right, then that can lead to some really bad things. Because you're just getting fatigued on life. And you try not to be this person, but you don't understand why you keep ending up being in the same place over and over again. Right? And part of that is because, for me, frustration, right? Loss of a lot of things, my inability to just understand the reality of where I really was, and not wanting to understand it, not wanting to embrace it.
Okay.
You become very transactional in everything you do. I give you this, I want that. You become very full of resentment because you have this and I don't have that, or I once had it and I don't have it anymore. And this leads, and that takes you down a lot of different paths, right? The ones who are brave enough to understand that, like I told you today, Renee, just because I drive my bus doesn't mean that you want to ride on my bus or that I'm even offering you a ticket on my bus.
Correct.
It's the ability to sit back and say, well, maybe this is what it's all about, and this is not as good as it's going to get, but this is the starting point of trying to create something that my sobriety allows me to now understand and embrace on all levels, and they can be very uncomfortable levels. The lack. I'm blessed, man, on one major front, right? On a lot of major fronts, but I've said I'm sorry to so many people for so many times, Renee, that I'm sorry is worn out.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer in that my life needs to be a living amends. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be a perfect person, because I'm far from perfect person, right? But it does mean that the people that I'm not playing on a stage for them to watch me, but there are things that people are observing in the way that I conduct myself and my conduct, and that I'm present, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I don't talk about these sorts of things on social media, but I've just been very lucky to have one of my children significantly come back into my life, and it was because because she's just a wonderful person, and she's got a beautiful soul, and my daughter leads with love, right? Like I shared this today. It's one of the things I wrote today, right? Is that it's I shouldn't ask of anything. I should just give, and then the things I would ask for as a selfish person will come back to me because of what I'm doing as a person. I think that the more you do peer to peer, the more you talk to people, the more you engage, the less you're isolated, the more your faith grows. And that, depending on what you consider, whether you believe in God or don't believe in God, whatever that may be, that's not my job to tell people what they believe or don't believe. But all these things start coming together because you've opened yourself up to the ability now to think about these things with a clear and present mind.
Correct.
And man, it takes you down a lot of paths, right? It takes you to a whole different level of conversation with people. It allows other people, when you're trying to do, per se, these reboot podcasts, the honesty and the intimacy when you're doing that is something that I've become more and more guarded about, because of the fact that people have given you the opportunity to sit in their home or just take up their time, and they're sharing these sorts of conversations with you that are very personal.
Right.
So the kind of the more you go down that road, Renee, and the more you are peer to peer, and the more you engage, like our level of engagement, which is professional, deep friendship, brotherhood. I think the more you learn to trust yourself, that you can engage in this level of relationships and not fuck it up again.
Right.
Right. And you, anybody, no matter what your trauma or what your past history or experience there, everybody has a moment that's not a pretty moment for them in their life.
Mm-hmm.
The more you trust yourself to allow people to trust you, the more I find you start forgiving yourself, because you are living your own living amends, right? Like you are now living your own living amends to yourself, that you are living up to the standard of person that you really think that you can achieve.
Mm-hmm.
And it's through those interactions with people that you begin to find a deeper sense of everything that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Insecurities will leave. That's a big thing to say. It's not a big thing to do, but I think the deeper you get into it and the more you start allowing yourself to grow, I think the more these sorts of things become quite evident that when I close my eyes one day, that I'm going to be a guy who had a Chinese wall kind of life. There was one side of me. There was one side of me that was one sort of guy, and that by the grace of God and the people that surround me, I've had the abilities now to maybe go create another kind of guy, right? And so I'm lucky because I'm one of those miracles that we hear about, and that people go, that could never happen, right? And because there's a lot of people out there, Renee, that I talk on my YouTube channel and on my videos and the things I write, and they just think I'm a straight up asshole and a hypocrite, and they have the right to feel that way. And I would never take that away from them,
right?
Because that's their right to feel that way, and so, like so many people that are in sobriety and living through sobriety, you have to come to terms with just the fact that you can forgive yourself, you can let the guilt go, but you have to understand that there are other people that are just not there yet. So, yeah, peer-to-peer is awesome. Yeah,
I think with that said, I mean, it's like, if I sat here and worried about everybody around me in one shape or form, or people who don't even know really me in general and what people say, I would go nuts, right? I think we all would. And I think, I've come to conclusions from my life that I like you, I'm not perfect. I've done some great things, I think, in my life that, from a perspective that, I didn't have a college background, and I found my way, and I think I've made a pretty good living throughout the years. But at the same time, I've also failed, and I'm still every day failing forward. And when you can admit that you're failing forward, right? I know individuals at this point that are very financially successful, but they're going through tremendous financial challenges on the back end, but in the front, they look like they're living the lifestyle of the rich and famous, right?
Yeah, it's called a broken thermos. That's a broken thermos lifestyle, right? Where you look really pretty.
Correct.
Until you shake it. And then it's all broken glass. Right. A lot of folks that way. Yeah.
So, you and I both know that, and I've watched videos, I'll probably watch more videos on a daily basis because I get a chance to do that. And you and I have that conversation that I think that's where my window, God just has me in this place at this time because it's opening up to these conversations. I might not be involved with you in reboot and addiction recovery at this point if I was somewhere else. So God just puts us in certain places at certain times. And I feel I'm blessed at this point because it is something that people are just lost, and not only in addiction recovery, but depression or financial or marriage, or they're in their career. They're trying to figure out the next steps. And that's where What's Your Passion was created, years ago, because I feel everybody has a passion and everybody has a desire, but also at the same time, everybody's going through something. And it's a step-by-step program that you're not going to be able to read a book, and you're not going to be able to take a course. You're not going to be able to just watch a video and all of a sudden, man, you got it. It just doesn't happen. It's like a box of chocolates. Every little bite you bite, ooh, this one's sour. Ooh, this one tastes good. Or this one's sweet. That's how life is. And that's how I feel I've embraced as much as I possibly can. I'm trying to embrace even more and more every day, saying, you know what? Everyone is going through something. I think Reboot is just a platform that we can invite people in, and you can feel comfortable knowing that, hey, we know where you are. We're willing to take you in and to listen and figure out what it is that we can do today to give you something that's going to build confidence and give you a step to in the right direction. And our goal is to keep you going in the right direction, whether it's understanding, some of the things you're thinking. Let's talk through that. Or if it's from a career perspective, man, I'm lost. I don't know what I want to do. I'm trying to figure out. Let's talk about what you want to do. Let's talk about your skills, and let's see if we can potentially help you with one of the different avenues or resources that we have, right? And I think that's what I'm finding is as we're building out this platform, it is going to be peer-to-peer support groups. It's going to be family involvement. It's going to be effective communication. It's going to be a variety of educational courses and resources combined. And that's where we're inviting more and more people to become part of our community. Because like you said earlier, we have a train, and the train is going forward, and it's all designed to help give the people on a train just a better life to where we can live, we can help, we can support each other in different areas, maybe increase income or decrease expenses. We talk about money, we talk about finance, we talk about business. So we're not just talking about problems, we're talking about solutions to the problems. And that's where I feel for you and I on a daily basis as we're doing this. And now we're bringing more leaders on board who either want to be part of our group as a leader and help us create more support groups, or bring people into our community to where we're growing. So that's where I feel right now. We every day we're going through this, and I've seen just again your success over the last 3 to 4 months. It's just every day it excites me because I'm seeing, hey, Ed's doing incredible things. He's learning so much more. He's bringing things that I can't even do, and I'm not doing. So it's just like as a group, and I always share with you the movie Seabiscuit, because it really is a combination of some individuals coming together and supporting each other through their weaknesses, but also being a strength in some way, shape, or form. You and I both. So you watched the movie Nona last night?
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Okay, so I watched the same movie, right? Nona, right?
Yeah, we're on the same wave. We're the same brain wave there, right? I only watched. No, you watched Nona, and you were home in your mama's kitchen tasting her gravy. I know exactly where your head was.
Correct.
I grew up in the Ninth Ward in New Orleans, so your red gravy was my mom's fried chicken. Got it.
Okay.
Interesting about Nona, gosh, my friend Adrian Adamo, I just gave a last name on here. Don't worry, she won't watch this anyway. My friend Adrian from the Garfield Cadets, her brother Tony is the pastor. Tell you to watch in the morning, right? He's on a plug for Tony. He's on I think Facebook Live every morning. Great guy. So Nona is interesting because they called their mama Nona. And they're Sicilian.
Right.
I think her mom came over like from Sicily, or I think like either that or her grandfather. Anyway, like they're first American Sicilian, like they're boom, right? And she would use the term Nona, 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 Nona this, Nona that, Nona. I love her mom. My mom had this great thing. Her mom had a cow, and like these Italian kitchens you'd go into, right? And there's food, and it's this, and it's that, and the hands, and it's kind of like when you're talking on you're driving, and Renee's driving, and he's talking, and his hands are going here, and his hands are going there, and the car is going one way, and but Nona had a cow, and the cow should put the milk, right? And so you drink coffee over at the Adamo house after she would feed you. I was 21 years old when this is going on, right? Living in a strange city. That's a whole nother story. And go eat at Nona's house because the food was delicious. Her house in Aunt Nell had great food, Marie. And you'd pull out the cow, and she'd pour the cow in the milk, in the coffee. Espresso, I'm sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, somewhere along the way, Nona told me that the cow was going to be mine because I love the freaking cow.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nona passed away. And so, I dialed into my friend Adrian. Was like, "Where's the cow? That's my cow."
Mm.
And long story short is that her sister Susan took the cow that Nona said was going to be mine. So forget that backstory, but uh, so I watched Nona last night. It's a great movie, right?
But it just kind of
But I can
showed you
see
that,
where,
he had a dream, and
yeah,
he really
it's a
his
real story.
friends, he had some support. Um, it was a tough road, but he built that off of bringing these ladies in. And at first, it was a lot of friction. It was a lot of attitudes.
Mhm.
It was, but at the same time, they just kind of, once they kind of got around everything and started really um, working it, it just was a masterpiece, right? And the end of the movie is really just, it was a true story, which is awesome, right? And again,
Yeah.
I sister this, I told her to watch it because it just reminds me of like our family. My mother, we have a whole recipes of books and everything else we created. I'm going to create a book with her one day of just her story.
Mhm.
But it was a great movie. And I guess I get impacted with movies like that, like Seabiscuit and things, because it just shows you that, it's like
Well,
working together and a teaming together. We can do
yeah,
something.
you love those kind of stories because you love um, there's a sense of drive in you that's amazing, right? So what's your passion is perfect because that really just is, I think, very self-descriptive of how Renee Manfrey's head works. Um, you love those kind of movies. This is your friend talking, right? Because I think you like those kind of stories. You embody the American dream on a given day, every day, right? You wake up and which is beautiful, and I do the same, right? That's why we're connected.
Right.
Um, and we just think that you shake it off because it's the morning, and whatever's going to face you is going to face you.
Mm-hmm.
All your challenges are still there. You just may have had a good night's rest, but you just kind of believe that I can make more out of today than I did yesterday, right? And oh,
Mm-hmm.
by the way, yesterday's gone.
Right. Goes quick.
Um, I can't go. It's over.
Right.
But I can try to make something today really special happen.
Right.
Like maybe there's, go whatever, right? Open a new account or talk to a new customer or go fix an old problem or have these incredibly good conversations, right? Uh, I'm finding um, that man, you learn so much more, so much about business by simply having conversations on a very personal level. Because at the end of the day, when you peel it all back, it's sort of like those dynamics work in every conversation, be it
Right.
about fried chicken, known as gravy, or hey, let's go get Costco,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, what I also can say is that staying inside this addiction conversation for a minute. Everybody's touched by it
Right.
some way, somehow. Somebody knows somebody
Correct.
that is dead or is struggling, is in the
Mm-hmm.
throes, or has a story of they dropped the bottle or dropped the pills, and then now they're trying to live or are living a really wonderful life. Like my friend Aaron, like the podcast I did.
Right.
Uh, that's going to be an amazing story when we do the proper job of editing it and profiling it because her story is just an amazing story. I can't wait to get it out. But
Yeah. I'm looking
just,
forward to it. I don't think I've seen it yet.
yeah, man. Yeah. And I think those sorts of stories really energize you,
Mm-hmm.
Renee, on many levels, right? You like that comeback story. Um, and I do as well, right? I often wonder because we talk about this quite a bit, right? And I share this with you a lot. We talk about this and I bring this up to you a lot. It's like, okay, so what's next? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You won the comeback story and you've achieved the things that you think are important.
Right.
and you get there and you go, maybe that just wasn't so important. And then that can be a real letdown because all that energy was thrown at something and you get it and you win it, right? And then you sit there and you look around and go, okay, what? I'm still the same screwed up individual I was. I just got a little more money in the bank or whatever, right? I think it's fixing that front end problem.
Right.
That allows you to understand that no matter what your aspirations are or what your goals are, that when you attain them, you're attaining them in a headspace that allows you to really enjoy the moment you're in it at that time, right? Because if not, all you constantly doing is chasing the monster. To Matthew McConaughey, right? You're constantly chasing the man you're going to be in 10 years. So, man, what I like about what we're doing is that we are building a business enterprise that is full of these really in-depth, honest, effacing, brutal conversations someday between you and me. But the book of life at the end, when it tells the story, is going to be one that those guys just had a different spin on life. And not only did they achieve it, but they made a hell of a fucking difference along the way.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen on that, right? You could say grace on that.
Yeah.
And that, right? Right. And we touched some lives, and some of them were the best encounters, but some of them are the great encounters in life, right? I'll tell you the story a lot about building truck stops. We had this conversation the other day. Renee, I was, I was doing cocaine and I was drinking. Man, I was a bad husband back then, but I was achieving such great freaking things that people would have never thought I could even come close to achieving.
Right.
I was broken, hollow. If you'd have pulled up to Lisa and I's home and you'd have seen our boat and our vacations and our furnishings and the way she looked and the way we would interact with each other in front of people, you would have thought that we were living, and we were from time to time, living just in the most amazing life, a love story that is just a beautiful one between two people. But man, I was so broken. And no matter how much I got, I wanted more. And no matter how much more I got, I needed to go hide myself away somewhere and do really bad things. Couldn't even understand why. And you know what's odd is that they would take place on a Wednesday.
What's they call Hump Wednesday?
There's something on Wednesday. I would act out on a Wednesday.
If you think about it, I mean, if I go back into the years, it was Wednesday. You have drinking at certain restaurants, and we would go to right. So it was just every Wednesday you would have somewhere to go on St. Charles, and it was a great little bar, and everybody met for drinks and networking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's everything was that. It was really surrounded around that.
You know what I never want to get to again is the guy that could buy himself out of any problem with a dollar bill. And that's kind of the guy I became, right? Within reason. I mean, people knew my shit, right? They knew I was gaming them. But I could buy my way out of situations. And because of my abilities to function at a high level, like I tell you all the time, I was a high functioning alcoholic, right? Like, the guys, as you well know, when we first met, and then shortly thereafter, I got the gig with some guys, and we were doing truck stops all over the place, buying, and I was taking them over. Those guys didn't care. Well, I've talked about this all the time. Like I was a high functioning alcoholic, man. Like I could pull it off.
Right.
So I thought. It's all steamrolling and catching up. But I am looking forward to, like, man, painting this canvas. It's funny, Renee, because I'm sitting here talking to you, and our buddy Scott just texted me about something he's working on inside of our little reboot deal that we talked about the other day. So as we're talking, the team is working, which is awesome, right? That's phenomenal.
That's what I guess that's where I think, and just on that topic.
Yeah.
I thrive on bringing people together because time is it goes by so quick. And I know that we have such an impact that we're making on a small level right now. And all we're trying to do is make it on a larger level. And to make an impact on a larger level, that encompasses a variety of some different individuals to become part of the team that have intricate skills that can help in the areas of structure, systems, exposure. Because you and I both know you can't build anything big by yourself. You can't build anything really that makes an impact in a room. But what we're doing is we're letting it out onto the world, which is the World Wide Web. And these conversations, somebody's going to listen to the conversation somewhere. And they might listen to it from India. They might listen to our conversation from Japan. They might hear this from Canada, whatever it may be. But somebody's going to come across this video. And that's where I keep on coming back down to where I wish I would have really have taken this years ago and gotten this exposure. But I know here we are today, 2025. This year is a huge year of change. Opportunities are popping all over. AI has changed the world. It's given you an opportunity and I an opportunity to really take this AI and really turn it into potentially part of our system and part of our business to support not ourselves but others. So it is exciting to know Scott is doing things on the back end and he's bringing so much value to the team.
It's awesome. And, the funny part about it is he sent me something, a little workbook, which I'm going to email to you because I can't get it. I didn't have an opportunity to send it to you yet. But I thought it made me chuckle because I said, man, it looks awesome. I like where you're going with that. And he asked me, and knowing Scotty's probably being sarcastic and funny, is that your expert opinion? It's like, far from it, but it engages you in different level of conversations for sure. I often wonder about all the people that kind of, and just the sad part about it is because of the way we're wired, everything's do it now, get it now kind of world. I need to be touched now moment. That in the long form of this media we call podcasting, right? It's the shorts that people look at. And when you're trying to deliver a message in that environment, it can be really tricky and dicey, because you're compressed down to, if you want it, like on Facebook, which is a worn out media, but, a lot of people that I'm finding as my avatar sort of person I speak to, they're still on Facebook, right? And they're scrolling through reels all the time. So it's that 60-second drop that seems to get the most attention. And so, in this world of producing content, which I'm can't believe I'm having this conversation, but in this world of producing content, it's that 60-second short that drops people to go, to say a YouTube channel, right? Which, you're constantly looking to get subscribers on there, and that's a struggle, as you well know. How do you drive that channel? How do you get more? We're playing an algorithm game there. I'm a firm believer, and man, I can't even believe I'm even going to say this is going to come out of my mouth because I have never been a patient person ever.
Right.
I've never been a patient person. Uh, but I think that because I know and um, the significance of saying something wrong to somebody that's in a fragile state might be watching and listening to what you're saying, that it becomes really a chore in a little bit to make sure that, on the things you're saying and putting out there have to be thoughtful, because if you're getting someone's attention, you sure the heck don't want to put them down the wrong path.
Correct.
That's so, reboot is a really, man, it is a really aggressive effort to achieve really, what the mission statement of that even is.
Right.
A therapy app, training for people that are coming out of inpatient, touching people that are still in the throes of addiction. Think about all these goals we're trying to set here, right?
Right.
Okay, we got you. Now we're going to put you in inpatient. You're going to come out. Now we're going to train you. By the way, because of our real estate head and our construction and development side, we say, okay, let's go build some communities to put these people into.
Right.
That are wholesome, clean, honest, and full of people that are in a humble aspect of it and not in that same kind of headspace they were before they got sober. Because you could be sober and still be in the wrong headspace.
Correct.
Which a majority, a lot, right? A lot of sober people are still in that same headspace they were when they were using. The only thing they've given up is the drug.
Right.
That's it.
Well, I guess again, I know we're running on an hour here, so I don't want to go too much longer. But I mean, again, I think we're coming into everybody is. It doesn't matter where you are in life, whether you're addicted to a drug or you're addicted to this or you're addicted to gaming, you're addicted to something. People are sometimes, they don't realize they're addicted to certain things. And sometimes you have to have somebody make you aware of some things you might not be doing or might not, or you're saying, you don't know how you're self-talking sometimes so much that sometimes you don't have people really being honest with you and just saying, okay, you're living in a life of delusion. You're living in a life of you're it's not real. And you and I both know people come to me all the time with ideas or businesses or whatever. And it's just like, bam, okay. So you have a great idea, but just like myself, I have to sometimes say, okay, how do I take this idea to market? Now that's a combination of having skills of sales, negotiation, communication, which some people don't have, and they're just lost in some areas, or they're in a career and they don't realize because they don't have the confidence or they don't have the know-how. And you and I talk about this a lot because a lot of people I deal with which is tugboat companies, and these guys are hard workers. They're out on these rigs in these boats for like 28 to 30, 60 days at a time away from their families. And they want to get to the point to where they're not on these boats for the rest of their life, but they don't know anything else. So they're wanting to do something. They just don't have someone that they can talk to. And then when I have these conversations, like, man, I see these videos and I hear this stuff, but I don't know if that's true. And so I tell them, and it's like we all have so much information in our life right now. And when you finally find people who really are truly transparent, which I feel we are, and that's why I feel Reboot and What's Your Passion, everything is growing, because we're just trying to be very open and transparent that you come into the community, we find out where you are, let's have some conversation, let's put you step by step into where we feel you can get better. But you have to be accountable. You have to be accountable to yourself. You have to be accountable to doing these little things and staying plugged in. When you don't plug into the system, and this comes from being in different careers, and I feel it when I unplug from the community and you stop learning, or you stop you get lost. So
you relapse.
It's like a sailboat, right? If you don't tie that sailboat, you can't just let the sailboat up into you got to tie it right in different areas, right? Or your boat, right?
Yeah.
You can't just let it go. It's got to stay plugged in somewhere, right?
Well, if you if you change the things you're doing and you learn new skills, and that takes you to a different set of conversations and interactions with people, and you improve your life by doing those things, right?
Right. Right.
Unless you have the ability, unless you have a firm sense of self, to your words, when you disconnect or unbolt, the risk you face is going back to the same old bad habits that you spent all this time getting out of.
Correct. Correct.
It's just the way we are, right? And being transparent with people is a very that's a big responsibility, because when you're transparent with people, you make them very uncomfortable, because most people aren't transparent.
Correct.
Most people just wear a mask.
Right.
And when you take your mask off and you're transparent about your life and the conversations you can have with people, it makes a lot of people uncomfortable. The other thing it can do is transparency can be dangerous, because it makes some people so extremely uncomfortable that it can send them out of your life, even though your desire is to embrace them into your life.
Right. Right.
So it can be like the wrong ends of a magnet. But the truth of the matter is that maybe they don't belong in your life.
Correct.
But we want them to, because we feel that that's so important to us at that moment. I need this person in my life. I need this. I need that. I need that. And then, and then you find out maybe that just wasn't the best path. But, to where I was getting a minute ago, I've never been a patient person.
Right.
But I'm learning that through patience, there's a shit ton of clarity that just didn't exist before.
Right. Right.
Right. And to this thing we're doing, this podcasting, and wanting more subscribers and blah blah blah. I think if you have something people want to listen to, and if you just kind of come across as an honest person, which you should be anyway, although you got to play the game, as you got to play the content game and a keywording game and an optimization game and the CRM game, excuse me, which we talk about all the time. Thumbnail, keywords, shocking headline. Oh, I just blew my head up. But it's really about the fact that you dropped a hammer on your foot. But people don't want to hear about that, right?
They want the result, but they don't really want to know. They don't want.
Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to do it.
They just want the result. It's kind of like a drive-through. They just want the sandwich. I don't care how you make it. Just give it to me, and I want to get results from it.
People would rather text. Right. That's why texting is more. That's why people text more than they email. Right. So, right, because it's instantaneous.
It's instantaneous.
Versus, I gotta go check my Google, and I gotta hit reply, and I gotta edit this thing and all that stuff. Right. Look, it's like I tell you all the time, bro. I wish it was my line, but it's not. We can conclude on this. For me, we can go as long as you want. My man Stutz, right? So uncertainty, pain. Oh gosh, what's his line? The three constants work. The three constants in life are uncertainty, pain, and work. Right. And no matter where you are in any station in life, these things are going to be constant inside your life.
Correct. No.
So I'm excited about Reboot, bro.
No, I'm excited. I'm glad we did this. So this is again just our, this is pretty much our 90-day follow-up on the addiction recovery process, what we're doing with Reboot, the creation of Reboot. and the
Yeah.
process of where we are. So we'll give y'all, you'll see more content coming out onto our channels, and we're looking forward to just more people who want to learn about our program. You're going to see information, descriptions, and links to all our different websites. Follow our channels, Reboot and What's Your Passion, and you're going to start seeing more and more of us as we're coming out with the courses. I think that over the next 30 to 60 days, you're going to see our updated website, updated landing pages, and you're going to get more content from us to how you can plug in. And so thank you very much for your time, my brother. And thank you very much for just your friendship and everything we're doing.
Oh, gosh, man, that's a mirror. That goes both ways, bro. You know I love you, and you're solid. And I'm sure I'll be talking to you no later than 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yes, you will. Tomorrow's Monday. All right. Thank you very much. Good night. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace out, bro.